Hi everyone, it's Meg from String Theory Yarn Company. It's Wednesday night, and I'm here to talk about a yarn that I happened to notice today while I was just, moving around the shop doing things. We've had it for a little while, and it turns out it's really kind of fun. The reason I wanted to talk about it is I had a customer come in and ask about it because she bought some. And while I was looking on Ravelry for examples of what other people had done with it, I realized that this type of yarn, where I'll hold it back here, where you've got predominantly one color, so in this case charcoal gray, and then these bleps of different colors, is one of those yarns that when it's in the skein, sometimes it can be really hard to visualize what it looks like, which is why we were looking on Ravelry. So this is by Arcania Yarns. It is a blend of wool and nylon, so 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon, which means of course it's great yarn for socks. You knew I was going to say that. But it's also good for a lot of other things. So I went on Ravelry and pulled off some patterns that I thought we could look at with an eye to looking at exactly what kinds of things happen when you knit with this yarn or crochet with this yarn. So the first thing to know is that the color you see the most of is like a background color. So this yarn is mostly this gray, and it's got these other pops of different colors, kind of a tawny tan, this neon, a little bit of charcoal. This one is tan, but as you can see, there's some gray and some orange and some red in it. This one's clearly very pink, but also little bleps of purple and blue and kind of this great color where pink turns into yellow, kind of a corally color. I love that. Blue again. And then this one is blue. This reminds me of spring flowers, which I like to be reminded of this time of year with these other pops. So here's what it looks like when you work it up. You get you get stripes, basically little thin diagonal stripes. So up at the top here, this is just a basic, kind of a plain old vanilla sock pattern. And as you can see, you get the stripes and little lines up at the top, and then a little bit of pooling after the heel. Pretty fun. Over here, of course, you can make a Musselburgh with it. That's what it looks like. This person used a contrasting yarn for the brim. I know I'm always going on about this hat, but it really is a great thing to do with a skein of yarn. So there's that. For crocheters, here's a beanie someone worked up in single crochet. That's all they did. They just, made a beanie. And as you can see, you get these fun little short lines of the contrast colors against the main color. And then finally, this is the Get Set and Go scarf, which is another thing you can do with fingering weight yarn if you don't want to make socks with it, or other smaller gauge items. Shawls and scarves are generally worked on larger needles like 6s and 5s instead of 1s and 2s, and for many people that's really appealing. But I think, again, the thing about this color is that you get long runs of the background color and then short runs of the contrasting color. You could also use this yarn for assigned pooling patterns. Those are easy to find on Ravelry, and those are patterns where you work along in one stitch when it's the background color, and then when you get to a contrast color, you do something different. Maybe you crochet a little flower, like a cluster stitch. Maybe you switch to purling instead of knitting, and you get some really interesting textures, and it's a little random, which can be a lot of fun. So, me. So I cast on a sock just to see, and once again, I'm getting these short little stripes, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm probably going to try some variation of a short row heel, see if I can find one I like, just so I don't mess with the striping pattern too much. So anyway, if you are looking for a fun and entertaining way to spend an evening with one skein of fingering weight yarn, I think you could do a lot worse. So it's Arcania Huasco Sock, Huasco. You can see all the colors on our website and put a little cheer in your life. Anyway, I hope everyone is having a great week and you're working on something fun, and I'll talk to you later.